Last nail went in at 6:30 on a Tuesday evening. Merrick Tolson stepped back and examined the crown molding he'd just finished installing in the dining room. 12 years of work had gone into this Victorian house. Every weekend, every spare hour after his construction jobs, every dollar he could save, he ran his calloused fingers along the smooth wood joint. Perfect. No gaps, no rough edges. The way his grandfather had taught him when he was 8 years old. "Looks good, Dad." Junie appeared in the doorway, her art tablet clutched against her chest. At 13, she had her mother's sharp eyes, but her father's quiet observation skills. "Should look good. Third time I cut those corners." Mom's on the phone again, with someone from her book club. Merrick heard the tone in his daughter's voice. Junie noticed everything. Smart kid who picked up on things adults thought they were hiding in the kitchen. Merrick pulled leftover roast from the refrigerator. Through the window, he could see the neighborhood changing around them. The Peterson house across the street had sold last month to a young couple who drove matching BMWs. They'd already torn down the old fence and put up something modern with steel posts. "Logan thinks we should gut this kitchen completely." Kaylee's voice drifted from the living room. I know. But everything here feels so outdated compared to what people expect now." Mark's hand stopped on the refrigerator door. "Logan." That name had been coming up more often in recent weeks. Someone from her yoga class, she'd said. Or was it her book club? The story kept changing. The front door clicked shut. Kaylee walked into the kitchen, still holding her phone. "Who was that?" Merrick asked. "Just a friend from class. We were discussing renovation ideas." "What kind of renovation ideas?" Kaylee set down her phone and opened the cabinet for plates. "Nothing specific. Just ways to modernize the house. Make it more valuable." "House is valuable. Put 12 years of work into it." "I know that, Merrick. But look around. The neighborhood is changing. These new people have money style. We look like we're stuck 20 years in the past." Merrick cracked eggs into a bowl for scrambling. "House is solid. That's what counts. Solid isn't everything." He glanced at her. When had she started wearing makeup to sit around the house? When had her hair gotten so perfect for someone who claimed she never went anywhere? "Dinner in 15 minutes. Kaylee nodded and disappeared upstairs. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Then again. Then a third time. During dinner, Junie talked about her art project. She was sketching different house styles for school. Victorian, colonial, modern. Kaylee pushed food around her plate and checked her phone twice. "Mom, are you listening?" Junie asked. "What?" "Yes, honey. That sounds lovely." But Kaylee's attention kept drifting toward the living room where her phone sat charging. After dinner, Merrick cleaned up while Kaylee went upstairs early. When he came to bed an hour later, she was already asleep, or pretending to be. The next morning, Merrick woke to an empty bed. He found Kaylee in the kitchen, fully dressed at 7 a.m. "Where are you going?" "Coffee with some friends. Then maybe some shopping for the house." "Thought you said money was tight." Kaylee grabbed her purse from the counter. "It's just coffee, Merrick. And maybe a few small things. Nothing expensive." After she left, Merrick sat at the kitchen table with his coffee. Something felt different about the house lately. Emptier somehow. Even when everyone was home, his phone rang. "Work call. Problem at the Morrison site. Be there in an hour." He told his foreman, "I in the bathroom." Merrick noticed Kaylee's entire makeup bag was gone. All of it. For coffee with friends. Kaylee has access to their joint finances, since Merrick trusts her fully and focuses on work. She starts siphoning savings under home improvements. That evening, Merrick checked their bank statement online. $300 withdrawn yesterday. $500 the day before. All from their savings account. "What's this money for?" he asked when Kaylee came home. "What money?" $800 from savings this week. Kaylee's cheeks flushed. "I told you I was buying things for the house. Paint samples, fabric swatches, research for our renovation plans. $800 worth of samples. It adds up, Merrick. You wouldn't understand. You think everything should cost $20 and come from the hardware store. I understand wasting money. It's not wasting money. It's investing in our future." But when Merrick looked around the house, he couldn't see any paint samples or fabric swatches. Just the same rooms he'd been working on for 12 years. The coffee shop was nearly empty at 10 a.m. on a Thursday. Kaylee spotted Logan Fenwick immediately. He'd aged well in the 20 years since college. Better than she felt she had. "You look amazing," Logan said, standing to embrace her. "Thanks." She slid into the booth across from him. "You said this was important." Logan leaned forward, his voice lowering. "I've been thinking about what you told me last week. About feeling trapped with Merrick. About him not understanding what you need from life." Kaylee glanced around the coffee shop, empty except for the barista and an elderly man reading a newspaper. "Keep your voice down." "Sorry, but seriously, Kaylee, you're too smart and too beautiful to waste your life with a guy who thinks conversation means discussing lumber prices. He's not that bad, isn't he? When's the last time he took you somewhere nice? When's the last time he asked about your dreams?" Kaylee couldn't answer because Logan was right. "I have a proposition," Logan continued. "A way out, but it requires courage." "What kind of way out?" Logan pulled a folder from his briefcase. "I've been working with some investors. Real estate development. We could flip that house of yours for serious profit. Start fresh somewhere exciting. Merrick would never sell. Merrick doesn't have to know until it's finished." Kaylee stared at him. "What are you talking about?" "Power of attorney. You handle the finances anyway, right? Merrick trusts you with that stuff because he's too busy playing with his tools." "Some of it, yes. But I can't just sell our house. Even if you have legal authority. And with Marek's shoulder surgery coming up next month, he'll need someone to handle business while he recovers." The idea hung between them. Dangerous and tempting. "That's fraud, Logan. It's freedom. Look, I know a lawyer who specializes in real estate law. He can set up the power of attorney so everything looks completely legitimate." Kaylee's coffee had gone cold. "I can't do that to Merrick." "Can't do what? Take control of your own life? Look at yourself, Kaylee. You're dying in that house. Slowly, quietly, but dying all the same." Logan reached across the table and covered her hand with his. "I have debts, Kaylee. Serious debts from my last business venture. I need this flip to work. And you need to get away from a man who sees you as a housekeeper, not a partner." She pulled her hand away. "I need time to think. Don't think too long. My contact won't wait forever. And neither will I." 2 weeks later, Merrick came home from work clutching his shoulder. "Rotator cuff," the doctor said the next day. "Surgery within the month, or you'll lose range of motion permanently." Kaylee squeezed his good hand in the waiting room. "Don't worry. I'll handle everything while you recover." "I know you will," Merrick said. "You always do." The trust in his voice made her stomach twist. Logan's lawyer was younger than she'd expected. Professional office, proper certificates on the walls, everything that suggested legitimacy. "Mrs. Tolson, your husband will be under anesthesia and then on strong pain medication for several days. It's completely reasonable for you to have power of attorney during his recovery. And this is legal. Absolutely. Happens all the time. Spouses need to handle emergencies, pay bills, make necessary decisions when their partner is incapacitated." The notary was an older woman named Mrs. Henderson who barely glanced at the documents. Kaylee signed where indicated, her hand shaking slightly. "There," the lawyer said. "Now you can handle whatever needs handling while your husband recovers." On the drive home, Kaylee called Logan. "It's done. Perfect. My contact is ready to move fast. Cash sale, no inspections, close within 2 weeks. And after that, we start over somewhere warm. California maybe. You always said you wanted to see California." That evening, Kaylee helped Merrick prepare for his surgery. He was unusually quiet, focused on finishing some work drawings. "You sure you can handle everything?" he asked. "I've been handling things for 15 years, Merrick." He nodded. "Mortgage payments due next week. Account information is in the desk drawer. I know where everything is. And Junie has that field trip. Merrick," Kaylee touched his arm. "I've got everything under control. Just focus on healing." He looked at her then, really looked, and for a moment she thought he could see through her completely. "I trust you," he said quietly. "Always have." Merrick woke up in the hospital recovery room, feeling like someone had taken his shoulder apart with a crowbar. The pain medication made everything fuzzy, but he could see Kaylee sitting in the visitor's chair. "Surgery went well," she said. "Doctor says you'll be here 2 more days. Junie, she's at school. I'll bring her by this evening." Over the next 3 days, Kaylee came and went frequently, always busy with something, always on her phone in the hallway, speaking in low voices. Who keeps calling? Merrick asked. Logan. He's helping me understand some of the insurance paperwork. It's confusing. What kind of paperwork? Nothing important. Just making sure everything's covered properly. When Merrick finally came home, the house felt different. Quieter. Kaylee seemed nervous, jumpy. She startled every time her phone rang. You okay? He asked on his second day home. Fine. Just tired from running around while you were in the hospital. Junie was quiet too. She spent most of her time in her room, drawing. When Merrick asked to see her artwork, she shook her head. They're not good. Since when do you care if they're good? Junie shrugged and closed her sketchbook that on Friday morning, Merrick woke to complete silence. No coffee brewing. No shower running. No sounds of morning routine that he dressed carefully, his shoulders still stiff and painful, and went downstairs. The kitchen was spotless. Too spotless. Like no one had used it for breakfast. Kaylee, he called. No answer. Junie, nothing that I in the living room. Everything looked normal at first glance. Then Merrick noticed the gaps. Kaylee's laptop was gone from the side table. The small TV from the kitchen had vanished. Family photos still hung on the walls, but personal items had disappeared. Merrick climbed the stairs slowly. In the bedroom, Kaylee's side of the closet was completely empty. Every piece of clothing, every shoe, every accessory gone. Junie's room looked like a hurricane had hit it. Dresser drawers hanging open and empty. Clothes scattered on the floor. Her art supplies missing. On the kitchen table, a single sheet of paper. I moved on. You'll never find us. This house is no longer yours. Typed. No signature. No explanation. Merrick read the note 3 times. Then he called Kaylee's cell phone. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. He tried Junie's phone. Same message. For 20 minutes, Merrick sat at the kitchen table staring at the note. Then he called his brother Dave. Merrick? How's the shoulder? They're gone. Who's gone? Kaylee and Junie. Left a note. Says the house isn't mine anymore. Silence. Then, what do you mean, the house isn't yours? I don't know. That's what the note says. I'll be right over. Dave arrived with his wife Linda 30 minutes later. They searched the house, confirmed what Merrick already knew. His family had vanished completely. We need to call the police, Linda said. And tell them what? My wife left me? That's not a crime. Taking your daughter might be. The police officer who responded wasn't encouraging. Without a custody order, either parent can take the child, he explained. And if your wife left voluntarily, there's not much we can do. What about this note? About the house not being mine? The officer shrugged. Could be she's just being spiteful. You should check with the county records office. Make sure nothing's changed with the deed. Monday morning, Merrick drove to the county courthouse. His shoulder ached, but not as much as the growing certainty that something terrible had happened. The clerk was helpful, but delivered devastating news. Property was transferred last Friday, she said, checking her computer. Looks like a power of attorney sale. Your wife signed as your legal representative. I never gave her power of attorney. The clerk pulled up more documents. Says here she did. Notarized and everything. Sale went through that same day. Friday, the day they disappeared. Sir, who bought it? Cash sale to an LLC. Riverside Development Holdings. Merrick stared at the paperwork. His house, 12 years of work, every weekend, every spare dollar sold while he recovered from surgery. There has to be a mistake. I'm sorry, sir. Everything looks legal from our end. You might want to contact a lawyer if you think there's been fraud. Outside the courthouse, Merrick sat in his truck, trying to process what had happened. Kaylee had betrayed him completely. Not just left him, but stolen everything he'd built. And taken Junie with her. His phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Tolson? This is Rick from Riverside Development. We understand you've been living in our property. You'll need to vacate by Friday. Your property? We purchased it last Friday. Legal sale. Your wife handled all the paperwork. Where's my wife now? I wouldn't know, sir. We dealt with her attorney. Look, we're reasonable people. You obviously didn't know about the sale. We'll give you until Friday to collect your belongings. The line went dead. Dave found Merrick that evening, sitting in his truck in the driveway of the house he'd built with his own hands. You can't just sit here. Where else am I supposed to go? Home with us. Linda's already making up the guest room. This is my home. Not anymore, brother. I'm sorry, but not anymore. November in Ohio meant cold that cut through everything. Merrick had been living in his truck for 3 weeks, parked behind Murphy's Diner on Route 23. The manager knew him from a construction job 2 years back and didn't hassle him about staying. Merrick woke each morning stiff and sore, his healing shoulder screaming from sleeping cramped in the driver's seat. His breath fogged the windows, and ice formed on the windshield by dawn. Dave called every day, but Merrick stopped answering. He couldn't face the pity, the questions about how he'd missed the signs, the offers of help that came with judgment attached. T14. Merrick had watched his mother lose their house. His father had been gone for 2 years by then, leaving behind gambling debts and empty promises. When the bank foreclosed, Merrick and his mother moved into his grandfather's basement. Some people take what isn't theirs, his grandfather had said. But taking something doesn't make it theirs forever. Now Merrick understood what the old man meant. At the Columbus Public Library, Merrick claimed the same computer terminal every morning at 9. The librarian, Beth, had stopped asking for his library card after the first week. Property law, he typed into the search engine. Fraudulent power of attorney. Asset protection. Trust structures. The legal language was dense, complicated. But Merrick was patient. He learned patience working with wood, where rushing meant ruined materials and wasted time. The power of attorney was the key. Kaylee had claimed authority to act on his behalf while he was recovering from surgery. But selling the house exceeded that authority. That made it fraud, proving it would be the challenge. Merrick called Mrs. Henderson, the notary who'd witnessed Kaylee's signature. Mrs. Henderson, this is Merrick Tolson. You notarized some documents for my wife recently. Oh yes, Mr. Tolson. How are you feeling? Your wife said you were having surgery. About those documents. Do you remember what they were for? Power of attorney, wasn't it? She said you needed her to handle things while you recovered. Did she mention anything about selling our house? Long pause. Selling your house? Oh my goodness, no. She said it was just for paying bills and handling medical decisions while you were laid up. Would you be willing to put that in writing? Well, yes, I suppose I could. Is there some kind of problem? You could say that. The library closed at 9. Merrick usually drove to a truck stop outside town to use the bathroom and buy coffee. The night clerk called him Michigan because of his Detroit Tigers cap. You okay, Michigan? Looking rough these days. Merrick caught his reflection in the store window. 3 weeks of sleeping in a truck had taken their toll. Beard unkempt, clothes wrinkled, eyes hollow. I'm fine. Sure you are. Coffee's fresh if you want some. Back in the truck, Merrick opened his laptop and continued reading. Slowly, a picture emerged. Kaylee and Logan had been clever. They'd used legitimate legal instruments, followed proper procedures. But they'd misrepresented the purpose of the power of attorney. That was fraud. The problem was proving it in court would take time and money. 2 things Merrick didn't have. Around midnight, exhaustion won. Merrick reclined the driver's seat and pulled his jacket over his chest. Through the windshield, he could see the diner's neon sign flickering. Sleep came in fragments. Dreams of Junie asking why he'd let Mommy take her away. Dreams of the house he'd built being torn down. Board by board, he woke before dawn, shoulder burning from the awkward position. Columbus was coming alive around him. People driving to jobs, to homes, to lives that still made sense. Merrick started the truck and drove to the Morrison construction site where he was supposed to meet his crew. Jesus, Merrick, his foreman Jimmy said. You look terrible. I'm fine. When's the last time you showered? I said I'm fine, Jimmy. But he wasn't fine, and they both knew I'd eat at lunch. Jimmy pulled him aside. Look, I don't know what's going on, but you can't keep showing up like this. The other guys are starting to talk. I'm doing my job. Barely. And you're making the clients nervous. Mrs. Morrison asked if you were homeless. The irony wasn't lost on Merrick. Maybe I should ask her about that. About what? Nothing. I'll clean up my act, Jimmy. Give me another week. Jimmy studied his face. 1 week. Then we need to have a serious conversation. That evening, Merrick drove past his old neighborhood. The house he'd built sat empty, a for sale sign in the front yard. But the grass was already getting long, and one of the shutters he'd installed was coming loose. Whoever Riverside Development was, they weren't taking care of the property. The cash job came from Tommy, the night cook at Murphy's Diner. "You're the construction guy who's been parking out back," Tommy said during the afternoon lull. "My deck's about to fall down. Nothing fancy, just needs fixing before winter hits hard. How do you know I do construction? The tool's in your truck. Plus, you've got the hands for it." Tommy gestured at Marek's calloused fingers. "Cash work, if you're interested." Marek looked at his hands. Still strong despite everything. Still capable of building things. "When do you want me to start?" Tommy's deck was a weekend project. Simple repair work replacing rotted boards, tightening loose railings, applying fresh stain. The kind of work Marek could do in his sleep. "You do good work," Tommy said Sunday evening, handing him $300 cash. "I might have other jobs for you. Friends who need things fixed. I'd appreciate that. Where should I tell them to find you?" Marek paused. He couldn't give out the address of a diner parking lot. "I'll give you a number. You can set up appointments." That night, Marek bought a prepaid cell phone at a gas station. His old phone was still active, but he suspected Kaylee might have ways of tracking it. The next morning, instead of going to the library, Marek drove to the Ohio Secretary of State's office in downtown Columbus. "I need to file paperwork for an LLC," he told the clerk. "Business or personal use?" "Business." The forms were straightforward. Name, address, purpose. Marek filled them out carefully. Business name, Marshall York Holdings. Address, a P.O. box he'd rented the day before. Purpose, property development and construction services. Marshall York. His grandfather's name, the man who'd taught him to work with his hands, to measure twice and cut once, to finish what he started. His grandfather had lost a house once too, during the Depression, when the bank foreclosed on the family farm. But he'd gotten it back eventually. Bought it at auction 5 years later for half what he'd owed. "Some things take time," the old man used to say. But time's usually on the side of the man willing to work for what's his. Over the next month, work trickled in. Tommy referred him to other cooks, waitresses, diner regulars who needed small jobs done. Deck repairs, bathroom renovations, kitchen cabinets. Nothing big, but steady. Marek worked every weekend and most evenings. He slept in his truck and showered at truck stops. He ate one meal a day and saved every dollar to by December. He'd save enough to rent a small storage unit, a place to keep his tools secure and store the few belongings he'd managed to salvage. "You're starting to look human again," Jimmy said when Marek showed up for work Monday morning. He'd showered at a gym and bought new work clothes. "I'm figuring things out." "Good, because the Morrison project is wrapping up, and I've got another job lined up. Could use you on the crew." The new project was residential development. Buying old houses, renovating them, flipping them for profit. Exactly the kind of work that interested Marek now. That evening, he drove through his old neighborhood again. The house he'd built was still empty, the for sale sign now reading price reduced. Marek parked across the street and studied the property with professional eyes. The front steps were starting to sag. Paint on the shutters was fading. Small problems that would become big problems if ignored. His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "Dad, is this your new number? I found it in your old toolbox. I miss you, Junie." She'd found his new phone somehow. Marek's hand shook as he typed back. "It's me. Where are you?" "Can't say. Mom checks my phone. But I wanted you to know I didn't want to leave. She made me. Are you okay?" "I guess. The new place is nice, but it doesn't feel like home. I saved some of my drawings from our house. I'm going to fix this. Promise? Promise." The messages stopped after that. But at least he knew she was safe. At least she remembered. The next day, Marek began researching property records in his neighborhood. Riverside Development Holdings owned 6 properties in the area, all purchased in the last 3 months. All bought below market value. 2 of the properties were behind on taxes. One was scheduled for auction in February. Marek called the county tax office. "The property at 1247 Oak Street. What's the minimum bid for the auction?" "Looks like $12,400. That covers back taxes and fees." $12,000. Marek checked his savings account balance. $8,000 and change. $4,000 ago. 2 months to earn it. "When exactly is the auction?" "February 15th. 10 a.m. at the courthouse. The tax auction was held in the courthouse basement. Merrick arrived early, wearing his best work clothes and carrying a cashier's check for $14,000. The room was nearly empty. A few investors, a couple of lawyers, an elderly woman who looked lost. Property at 1247 Oak Street, the auctioneer announced. Minimum bid $12,400. 12.4, Merrick called out. Do I hear 13? Silence. Going once, going twice, sold to bidder number 7. Marshall York Holdings owned its first property. The Oak Street house was 3 blocks from Marrick's old home. Close enough to watch what happened in the neighborhood, far enough to avoid suspicion. The house was in rough shape. Water damage in the kitchen, electrical from the 1960s, plumbing that belonged in a museum. But the foundation was solid. The roof had good bones. Merrick spent 6 months transforming the property. Every evening after work, every weekend. Strip the old wallpaper, sand the hardwood floors, replace the wiring room by room. The work was therapeutic. Familiar. Each repair taught him something new about what he was capable of building. By summer, the Oak Street house was completely renovated. New kitchen, updated bathrooms, refinished floors. Merrick had done most of the work himself, keeping costs low and quality high. The house sold in 2 weeks for $68,000. After expenses, Marshall York Holdings netted $42,000 in profit, enough to buy 2 more properties at the next auction. The neighborhood was changing exactly as Kaylee had predicted. Young professionals moving in, older residents selling out. Property values climbing steadily. Merrick bought a house on Elm Street and another on Maple. Both needed significant work, but both were within easy walking distance of his old house. The house Kaylee had stolen was still empty. The for sale sign had been replaced with price reduced twice. Riverside Development was asking too much for a property they weren't maintaining. In September, Merrick called the number on the sign. Riverside Development, this is Janet. I'm interested in the property at 4455 Birch Lane. Oh, that one. Yes, it's been challenging to move. Are you a cash buyer? Depends on the price. We're asking $149. Merrick knew the property was worth $120 at most in its current condition. I might be interested at $110. Cash, quick closing. That's significantly below asking price. It's a fair offer for a property that's been sitting empty for 8 months. Janet put him on hold. When she returned, her tone was cooler. I can present your offer to the partners. Good. Friday came and went. No call back. Merrick wasn't surprised. But properties that sat empty too long became liabilities. Tom was on his side. Meanwhile, he bought the house next door to where Kaylee and Logan were renting their luxury home. The address had taken some research, but property records were public information. The house at 1823 Birch Lane was a small colonial that needed work. But it was exactly where Merrick wanted to be close enough to keep an eye on things, positioned for the next phase of his plan. The call came on a Tuesday morning in November while Merrick was installing new cabinets in the Elm Street house. Mr. York? This is Rebecca Martinez from Forgotten Homes Reborn. We're a YouTube channel that features property renovations. Merrick set down his drill. How did you find me? We research local renovation projects through contractor licensing records. Your Oak Street transformation caught our attention. The before and after photos are remarkable. What do you want? We'd like to feature your work. Interview you about your renovation process. Film some of your current projects. Our channel has 200,000 subscribers. I'm not interested in being on camera. That's actually perfect for our audience. They prefer authentic stories over polished presentations. People who do real work transform neglected properties into homes. Merrick thought about it. Publicity could bring more business opportunities. And something else, a way to send a message to California. When? This weekend? We could film at your completed properties and discuss your approach. Saturday morning, Rebecca arrived with a small crew. 1 camera operator, 1 sound person, and Rebecca with a microphone and genuine enthusiasm. Tell me about your background, she said as they walked through the renovated Elm Street house. Been in construction most of my life. Learned from my grandfather. What made you start your own development company? Merrick paused. The real answer was complicated. Sometimes you reach a point where you need to take control of your situation. Can you expand on that? Life throws things at you. You can sit there and take it, or you can fight back. I chose to fight back. They filmed for 3 hours. Merrick showing his work, explaining his process, discussing future projects. He felt comfortable talking about work, about things he understood completely. One last question, Rebecca said. What's your long-term goal with Marshall York Holdings? Merrick looked directly into the camera. I plan to own significant property in this neighborhood. Restore houses that have been neglected. Build something that lasts. And personally, what does success look like for you? Getting back what's mine. The video went live 2 weeks later. By Friday, it had 50,000 views. By weekend, over 100,000 that the comments were mostly positive. This guy knows what he's doing. Love the authentic approach. Real work, not fancy staging. Would hire him immediately. But one comment made Marek's chest tighten. Dad, I saw your video. You look good. I'm proud of you. Junie had seen it, which meant Kaylee had too. Monday morning, the phone started ringing. Contractors wanting partnerships, property owners seeking renovations, investors interested in collaboration, and one call that made Merrick smile. Mr. York? This is Janet from Riverside Development. We spoke about the Birch Lane property. I remember. We'd like to revisit your offer. Would you still be interested at 110? What's changed? Janet's pause told him everything. They'd seen the video, realized who Marshall York really was. Market conditions have been challenging. We're motivated to move the property quickly. I'll need to inspect it again. Property's been empty over a year now. Of course. When works for you? This afternoon. That evening, Merrick walked through his old house for the first time since the day he'd found it empty. Everything was exactly as he'd left it, but covered in dust and neglect. In the kitchen. He ran his hand along the cabinets he'd built. Solid construction, but the finish was showing wear. In the dining room, his crown molding had developed a small crack from settling. Upstairs, he stood in Junie's room. Her height measurements were still penciled on the doorframe. Growing marks that stopped at age 13. His phone buzzed. Saw the house video. Are you buying our old house back? Maybe. Mom's freaking out. She's been crying since yesterday. What? Logan lost money, and they fight constantly now. He said mean things about you and me. Marek's jaw tightened. What kind of things? Can't type it. Too risky. But Dad, I recorded something. Something important. What did you record? Logan talking to his friend. About Mom. About how he used her. It's really bad. Can you send it? Not from here. When I come home, I'll show you. When you come home, I'm going to find a way, Dad. I promise. 3,000 miles away, Kaylee Tolson sat in her rented Newport Beach condo, staring at her laptop screen. The YouTube video had been playing on repeat for an hour. Marshall York. Her ex-husband using his grandfather's name. She watched Merrick calmly discuss renovation techniques, talk about building things that last, about getting back what was his. He looked different, leaner, more focused, confident in a way she'd never seen. The comment section was full of praise. People calling him authentic, skilled, inspiring. One comment made her blood freeze. This man lost everything to fraud, but fought back. Real strength. How many people knew the truth? What are you watching? Logan emerged from the bedroom, hair disheveled, smelling like vodka at 2 in the afternoon. Nothing important. Logan looked over her shoulder and went pale. Is it your husband? Ex-husband. What's he doing on YouTube? Talking about his business. He's been buying properties, renovating them. Logan grabbed the laptop, scrolled through comments. His face went white. Some of these people know what happened. Look, hope he gets justice for what his wife did. Kaylee's stomach twisted. How could they know? I don't know, but this is bad. We need to leave. And go where? We're almost out of money, Logan. We'll figure something out. With what? You lost 30,000 on that cryptocurrency scheme. The house money is nearly gone. Logan started pacing. Don't blame me for that. You wanted the expensive condo, private school for Junie, the BMW. I wanted a normal life after what we did. What we did. This was your idea, remember? From a kitchen came the sound of a chair scraping. Junie appeared with her backpack. Go into the library, she said. How long? Kaylee asked. Couple hours. I have homework. After Junie left, Logan grabbed a beer. This is falling apart, Kaylee. Your ex-husband is getting famous. We're running out of money, and your daughter hates us. She doesn't hate me, doesn't she? When's the last time she talked to you voluntarily? Kaylee knew he was right. Junie had been withdrawing for months, always asking about Merrick, refusing to engage with their new life. Maybe we should go back, Kaylee said quietly. Go back. Logan laughed bitterly. And say what? Sorry for the fraud? Sorry for stealing your daughter? Marek's not vindictive. If I explained. Explained what? That you were bored? That you traded 15 years of marriage for a guy who drinks beer at 2 p.m.? The words hit hard because they were true. I thought you loved me. I thought I did too. But love doesn't pay bills. And right now, we're drowning. That evening, Kaylee found Logan passed out on the couch, empty bottles on the coffee table. This was becoming routine. She knocked on Junie's door. Come in. Junie was drawing sketches of houses, all resembling their old home in Columbus. What are you working on? Art project. All your drawings are houses lately. Houses are interesting. We have a nice place here. Ocean view pool. It's not home. This could be home if you gave it a chance. Junie looked up. Home is where Dad is. This is just where we're hiding. We're not hiding, honey. We're starting fresh. Are we? Because it feels like hiding. I know what you did, Mom. The words hung in the air. What did you hear? I'm not stupid. I heard you and Logan talking. I heard the phone calls with lawyers. I know you stole Dad's house. Kaylee sat on the bed. It's more complicated than you understand. Is it? You took Dad's house without asking and ran away. That's stealing. Your father and I had problems. So you fix them. You don't steal and disappear. Junie turned back to her drawing. The conversation was over. That night, Kaylee lay awake thinking about the YouTube video. Merrick had looked successful, confident, like a man who had his life figured out, while she was stuck with a man becoming a stranger, watching her daughter slip away. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is a process server. We need to locate Kaylee Tolson regarding legal documents. Please confirm your address. Kaylee deleted the message, but sleep didn't come. The private investigator found them in December. Newport Beach, California, she told Merrick over the phone. Expensive area. They're renting a condo for $6,000 a month. $6,000. Merrick calculated quickly. $72,000 annually just for rent. Your ex-wife is living well on proceeds from your house sale. What about my daughter? Enrolled at private school. Teachers report she seems withdrawn, but academically she's doing fine. I need addresses. Documentation. Everything you can get. Already working on it. But Mr. Tolson, if you're planning legal action, you'll need more than location. What do you mean? Proving fraud is complicated. You'll need expert witnesses, handwriting analysis, notary testimony. This could get expensive. How expensive? $50,000, maybe more. And that's if you win. Merrick looked around his storage unit office. He had $48,000 in the bank from property sales. Do it. The lawyer, Rebecca Martinez, came recommended by the investigator. Sharp, experienced in fraud cases, willing to work contingency. The power of attorney case is strong, she said after reviewing documents. The notary will testify that your wife misrepresented the document's scope. We can prove signature forgery. What about custody? Trickier. Your wife hasn't violated custody orders because none exist. But taking your daughter across state lines without consent works in our favor. How long will this take? 6 months minimum. Possibly longer if they fight. They'll fight. Rebecca nodded. Most do. But we have advantages. Your ex-wife committed fraud. She's living off stolen money. And your daughter is old enough to have a voice in custody decisions. The papers were served in January. Kaylee avoided the process server for 2 weeks before he caught her outside Junie's school. Kaylee Tolson, you've been served. The call came that night. Merrick? It's me. He barely recognized her voice. Smaller, frightened. Kaylee, we need to talk. My lawyer handles everything now. Please, this doesn't have to go to court. We can work something out. Like what? I could give you the house back. We could share custody. You sold the house, remember? To your boyfriend's friends. I can get it back. I still have connections. Merrick almost laughed. You mean buy it back with money you stole from me? It wasn't stealing. We were married. Community property. Fraud is fraud, whether we were married or not. Silence. Then, what do you want? I want my daughter back. I want you to face consequences. And I want you to understand some things can't be fixed with phone calls. Merrick, please. He hung up. Logan called next. Listen, you son of a bitch. Drop this lawsuit or you'll regret it. Is that a threat? It's a promise. You don't know who you're messing with. Actually, I do. I'm messing with a failed entrepreneur who manipulated my wife in a fraud. A man living off stolen money. You can't prove anything. Want to bet? Logan's voice changed, less confident. What if we made a deal? Cash settlement. Everyone walks away. Not interested in deals. 50,000 cash. You drop the lawsuit. We disappear forever. You mean disappear with my daughter? Not happening. You stubborn. Merrick hung up. The calls continued. Logan, drunk and desperate, called 3 more times that week. Messages got uglier each time. Your wife never loved you. She told me you were boring, pathetic, like being married would. Junie doesn't want to come back. She likes it here. Good school friends. You think this lawsuit scares us? We'll be gone before you can touch us. Merrick forwarded the voicemails to Rebecca. Harassment and witness intimidation, she said. This helps our case. I have something else. Merrick played the recording Junie had managed to send. Logan's voice, drunk and angry. The whole thing was my idea, man. I found a lawyer, set up the power of attorney scam. Kaylee was just a mark. Lonely housewife, easy to manipulate. And the daughter, collateral damage. Kid's annoying anyway. Always whining about her father, drawing pictures of that dump they lived in. If she doesn't shut up soon, I'm going to lose it. Rebecca listened twice. Where did you get this? My daughter recorded it. This changes everything. We can prove Logan orchestrated the fraud, manipulated your wife. His threats against Junie establish abuse patterns. The custody hearing was scheduled for March in Columbus Family Court. Will she show up? Rebecca asked. She has to, but the day before the hearing, Kaylee and Logan tried to run. Airport security caught them at LAX with one-way tickets to Mexico and $40,000 in cash. Junie was with them, crying and asking to call her father. The arrest made news in California and Ohio. Fugitive mother captured with stolen funds. Property fraud case takes dramatic turn. Rebecca called with the news. They're being held pending extradition. Your daughter is safe with Child Protective Services. I need to get her. Already working on emergency custody orders. Merrick was on a plane that evening. The Los Angeles County Courthouse was marble and confusion. Merrick found a right courtroom waiting area where Junie sat with a social worker. Dad, she ran to him. For the first time in 18 months, Merrick held his daughter. Are you okay? I am now. Her voice was muffled against his shoulder. I was so scared. You're safe. You're coming home. The social worker approached them. Mr. Tolson? I'm Patricia Williams. I've been working with Junie since yesterday. Thank you for taking care of her. She's remarkable. Very mature for her age. She's been through a lot. Merrick looked down at Junie. She'd grown taller but thinner. The light in her eyes was dimmed. Emergency custody hearing is in 20 minutes, Patricia said. Given circumstances, it should be straightforward. What about my wife? She's being held downstairs. Arraignment this afternoon. Can I see her? Patricia looked surprised. You want to? I need to. The holding area was sterile gray. Kaylee sat behind reinforced glass in an orange jumpsuit that made her look smaller, older. Weight loss, unkempt hair, pale face. She picked up the phone when she saw him. Merrick, Kaylee. 18 months of silence between them. Is Junie okay? She's fine. Coming home with me. Kaylee's eyes filled with tears. I never wanted it to go this far. But it did. Logan said we could work it out. Said you'd never find us. Logan was wrong about many things. I heard the recording. What he said about me, about Junie. I had no idea. Merrick studied her face. She looked genuinely shocked, hurt. But it was too late for regret. Did you ever love me, Kaylee? Or was our marriage just something to escape? I loved you. I did. But I felt trapped. Like I was disappearing. Like I'd never have a life that was mine. So you stole mine instead. I thought if I could start over somewhere new, with someone who understood me. You thought wrong. Kaylee pressed her hand against the glass. Can you ever forgive me? Merrick looked at her for a long moment. The woman he'd married, mother of his child, who'd shared his bed for 15 years, then betrayed him completely. No, he said quietly. I can't. Merrick, please. You didn't just leave me, Kaylee. You stole everything I'd built and took my daughter. You made Junie part of your lie. That's not forgivable. What about Junie? She needs her mother. Junie needs stability. Someone who won't use her as a pawn. I never meant for her to get hurt. But she did. Because you put your wants ahead of her needs. Merrick stood. My lawyer will contact you about custody arrangements. If you're lucky, supervised visits eventually. Wait. Kaylee's voice was desperate. The house. I can still get it back. Make this right. I already got it back. Bought it from your boyfriend's partners last month. Kaylee stared. Ow. Same way I built it the first time. Hard work. Merrick hung up and walked away. I in the hallway. Junie waited with Patricia. Ready to go home. More than ready. As they walked toward the exit, Junie slipped her hand into his. Dad, I'm sorry about what Mom did. That's not your fault. I know, but I'm still sorry. 6 months later, David Rodriguez from HGTV called. Mr. York? This is David from American Comeback Stories. We'd like to feature your story. Merrick was installing hardwood in his latest project. What kind of story? We focus on people who've overcome major setbacks through determination. Your case is particularly compelling. My case. The property fraud, legal battle, rebuilding from nothing. Our research team found your story through the YouTube video. Merrick set down his hammer. I'm not interested in being anyone's sob story. Not a sob story. We want to show how you turned devastating betrayal into business success. You're now one of Columbus's most respected developers. It was true. Marshall York Holdings had grown steadily. 12 properties bought, renovated, sold. 6 more in development. 3 full-time employees and a reputation for quality. What would this involve? 1 day of filming. Interview segments, footage of current projects, shots of your home. Prime time to 2 million viewers. National exposure could bring opportunities. And something else, telling his story on his terms. When filming took place on a warm September morning. Large production crew, multiple cameras, professional lighting. Just be yourself, David said. Tell your story honestly. They filmed on the front steps of his house. The same house Kaylee had stolen, now restored and better than ever. Tell me about the lowest point, David said. When you discovered your house had been sold illegally. I was living in my truck, Merrick said. Everything I'd built was gone. My wife, daughter, home. For about a week, I considered giving up. What changed your mind? My daughter. She was out there somewhere, and she needed to know her father doesn't quit when things get hard. How did you rebuild? Same way I built the first time. 1 project at a time. 1 day at a time. They filmed him working on the current project, showing restoration techniques perfected over 20 years. The cameras captured transformation damaged, neglected rooms becoming beautiful. What does success look like now? David asked. Merrick looked at the house behind him. Junie was visible through the kitchen window, doing homework where they ate dinner together every night. Success is having my daughter back. Building something that lasts. Knowing that when people try to tear you down, you can build yourself back up. Any message for people facing setbacks? Don't let anyone else write your ending. You decide how your story goes. The episode aired 3 months later. Merrick and Junie watched together. You look good on TV, Dad. Thanks. Are you famous now? Doubt it. But response was immediate. Phone calls before the show ended. Contractors wanting partnerships, property owners seeking renovations, investors interested in backing projects. The show had one more impact. A week after airing, Rebecca Martinez called. Merrick, your episode is their most watched this season. That's nice. More than nice. 12 production companies want your contact information. I'm not interested in being a TV star. Not a star. A success story. Your renovation approach, business model, comeback, people are inspired. That evening, walking through his current project on Maple Street, Merrick thought about inspiration. But it wasn't really about inspiration. It was simpler. When someone tries to erase you, you have 2 choices. Disappear or prove some things can't be erased. His phone buzzed. Text from Junie. Working late again? Dinner's ready. Merrick smiled and typed back. On my way. Outside, Columbus settled into evening. Lights in windows, families gathering for dinner. The neighborhood he'd helped transform, house by house, a tea home. Junie had set the table, and made spaghetti. "Good day," she asked. "Good day." Normal conversations over dinner. Her art class, his latest project, weekend plans. Normal life. After dinner, Junie went upstairs for homework. Merrick cleaned the kitchen and thought about the TV producer's comment about inspiration. Meanwhile, 3,000 miles away, Kaylee Tolson sat alone in a one-bedroom apartment in Riverside, California. She'd been released after 18 months, found work as a substitute teacher, lived quietly on a teacher's salary on her small TV. She watched Marek's interview. Sitting calmly on the steps of their old house, he finished with words that cut through her. "You don't get to rewrite the past, but you can make the ending worth watching." Her expression was silent, hollow, defeated. When someone had tried to erase Merrick Tolson, he'd chosen to prove he couldn't be erased. In the end, that made all the difference.